All good?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good to go. We are recording the session in case anybody's wondering. And yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third installment of the Guidance Forum. I can't believe we already got 3 weeks of these under our belt. I'm Trevor, and it's great to see you again. It's just a gorgeous day in the capital. Another great Friday morning to be together with you, and thanks to everybody for stopping in to say hello again this week. Before I begin, just let me start by saying that Carleton University acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. The agenda today will see guests from both the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, as well as the Awards and Financial Aid Office. For meeting protocol, we'd ask that you try to keep your mics muted if you can, please. As great as it is to hear the garbage truck and the dogs barking and the kids crying and things, it'd be nice to be able to concentrate on the conversation. And I know a number of you are at school, and so sometimes we hear announcements in the background from the head office and whatnot. So if you could stay muted, that'd be great. We're going to bring in the speakers one at a time, and we have an opportunity to ask questions of the speakers once they're done presenting. And you can do that by raising your hand, and we can get to you after they're done speaking, or you can place a question in the chat, which we found over the last couple of weeks has been the most popular option, to be honest with you. And we have Carly in the background here as well, who will be curating that side of the presentation to look through the questions. And yeah, that's about it. And by all means, jump in once our presenters are finished to ask whatever you like. We set aside lots of time for that. And now introduction of our speakers and sponsors. We're pleased to be joined by our guest, Mark Robinson, who is the Manager of Financial Aid in the Office of Awards. Welcome, Mark. As well as our sponsor for the event today, from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Ann Bowker, who is an Associate Professor in Psychology, as well as an Associate Dean, Student Affairs and Enrollment. So welcome, Ann and Mark. We are also pleased to be joined by the Jen Sugar for the third week now. Thanks, Jen, for joining us again. Jen is the Director of Admissions, and she'll be batting cleanup at the end to talk about some of those great admission things and answer some questions as well. So welcome, everyone. So before I kick it over to Anne to share some news from the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences and whatnot, I just want to take a very quick moment to update the schedule of the upcoming topics and the sponsors to look forward to here in the Guidance Forum. So we've heard from ESP, PMC, today's Financial Aid. We heard from Sprott, Public Affairs. Today's Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. Next week will be portfolio programs. So we'll be hearing from industrial design, architecture, and the BIT multimedia design people to talk toolkit conversation around portfolio submission and the process for that. And our sponsor for that will be the Faculty of Engineering and Design. And then we'll take a break, and we're back on the 27th for housing and the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. So as you can see, as we get going through, the topics start to get a little bit more in tune with I've applied, but now there's some other sort of things that I need to solve going forward. So we'll get into some of those topics later on. So without further ado, we're going to pass it over to Anne, Associate Dean for the Arts and Social Sciences. So welcome again, Anne.
Thanks. So I'm really happy to be here, and I will try to be as brief as possible. We are a very large faculty, and so it's hard to get us to get everything explained and presented in a short period of time, but here goes. So the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences offers 38 areas of study at the undergrad and graduate level. It's home to outstanding interdisciplinary faculty research and innovative teaching. Our faculty provides students with a collaborative and experiential learning opportunity, an environment which provides creative ingenuity and the critical thinking and communication skills required for the modern workforce. So we know that the BA has a lot to do with those soft skills that we talk about, that we hear the Conference Board of Canada talking about, saying these are the skills that are going to get you a job when you graduate. So we have over 9,000 students, over 300 faculty members. FAST students can pursue and connect multiple disciplines, allowing them to discover their specialized interests and passions and to unlock their talent and potential in a collaborative environment. A couple of things that are somewhat unique, I think, to our faculty are, first of all, the first-year seminars that we offer. So these are courses just for first-year students, maximum capacity of 30. They last the whole year. And they really are an opportunity to get to know another group of students, to feel connected to the university. And even during COVID, we're offering them, we are connecting with them. We have synchronous as well as asynchronous interactions. The course that I teach in the first year seminar stream is the Psychology of Success. And I co-teach that with another professor. And we also have a student who is part of that as well, a student mentor who attends class regularly. And the idea is that students learn about a particular topic, but they're also learning about how to be successful at university. So for example, in our course on the Psychology of Success, we learn about things like goal setting, mental health, sleep, confidence, various personality styles, grit, all of these things that are correlates of success. But at the same time as they're doing that, they're also doing modules on time management, procrastination, study skills, academic integrity, how to make citations and to paraphrase, career exploration. So they're learning about those kind of essential skills in the context of a safe environment. In some ways, more similar to high school in that there's only 30 students in the class, but it's in a university setting. And we offer about 50 of these first year seminars in a variety of areas, everything from criminal behavior, creativity, graphic novels, and cartooning. There's a role-playing one in history where you take on a role at the beginning of the year, and that's your role learning about a particular era in history for the year. Environmental sustainability. So lots of different opportunities there over both arts and social sciences as well as public affairs. Another thing I want to highlight is that the experiential learning that goes on at all levels of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. A couple of years ago, I taught a first year seminar on aging, and I had students actually going out to the community and interviewing seniors, having found out that they all figured 45 was old and nothing happened after that. So to give them an opportunity to really interview and find out about people in their 70s and 80s, and they weren't just sitting in their rocking chairs doing nothing. So that starts early on, first year, and then moving through, there are practica, internships. Most of our programs have co-op as well, to give students that sort of learning by doing experience. We also offer a variety of lecture series. One of them I want to highlight is the Healthy Cities lecture series. We started this last year, and it's about discussions about what makes a healthy city in the 21st century. So two weeks ago, we had a panel on anti-racism in the city. What makes an anti-racist city? And routinely, we have a couple of FAST researchers talking about the research they do, but we also have somebody from the community. So Ralston King joined us a couple of weeks ago for the panel on anti-racism. We have an upcoming one on the 17th of November on building community through creativity, and it features the arts. So we have musicians, both at Carleton and in the community, visual artists, people who facilitate that kind of thing coming together to talk about building community through creativity. And I've given Trevor some links to put in the chat, and that one of those would include registering for this Healthy Cities lecture panel, and they're free of charge, they're open to everyone, and they're all on Zoom at the moment. So FAST has an internationally distinguished group of researchers which cover diverse areas of inquiry ranging from the geography of the Arctic to the great religions of Asia, and from the individuality of the human personality to the universality of human expression in the arts and literature. So interdisciplinary research is really a strength of FAST, and students will get that opportunity through individual scholarship, but also collaborations. We involve students early on in the research process. We have a summer internship research award that students can apply for in their third and fourth year that pays students essentially to do research over the summer. They come up with an idea, they find a supervisor to supervise them, and then they get paid $7,500 to do that research over the summer. This past year, we sponsored 10 students doing research on everything from Black identity of recent immigrants to how autistic students are handling the pandemic, a whole range of different topics. And this was something that was available for students in third and fourth year. So lots of research experience opportunities and lots of collaborations, right? Ottawa is a great place to be doing research. We have connections with Canada's national labs and museums, Library and Archives Canada. as well as federal government departments and agencies. I want to just highlight a couple of relatively new features in the faculty. One is the Carleton Dominion Chalmers Centre. Now that belongs to Carleton, not just to FAST, but we manage it and it's part of our portfolio. So that's Carleton's Downtown Arts Performance and Learning Centre, which is dedicated to providing a welcoming, professional, and safe environment to foster programming that is multi-generational as well as diverse. And this is the former Dominion Chalmers Church downtown that Carleton purchased a couple of years ago. So in its first full academic year, which was last year, we introduced curricular music programming as well as learning and retirement. And in the first 10 months of operation, we welcomed over 85,000 people through the doors for community as well as university events. Now, during the pandemic, obviously, things have changed, but the center has been able to pivot to continue serving the community and to those in isolation by offering quality live streaming services, as well as a venue for safely planned small group recordings. We have great plans for the center as we move forward in terms of renovation, making it more accessible, opening it up, state-of-the-art recording studio. So stay tuned for that. We're really excited about that part of our offerings. A couple of other new programming ideas or things for students to know. We have a new stream in mental health and well-being, which offers psychology students training and work placements. This is for psychology students who are particularly interested in pursuing a clinical psychology pathway. So it provides a coherent set of introductory courses that will help them meet their vocational goals. There's also a new research center for mental health, resilience, and well-being, which students, faculty, and community members will be able to partner in. I mentioned the first-year seminars earlier. We have a new first-year seminar this year on Blackness and anti-racism. We know there's an increased awareness at Carleton and in the community about the importance and need for equity, diversity, and inclusion. This has spawned a number of new initiatives. One of them is this course, which we hope to offer next year as well, but it examines historical and contemporary issues and events relating to how race and power influence political debates, which is probably a current issue that's all on our minds. We have a number of new minors: Quebec Studies, Critical Race Relations, Critical Disability Studies, concentration in Urban Geography, to go with the many majors that already exist in our program. And of course, we have minors in everything from creative writing, drama studies, to archaeology. It's a really exciting place to work. It's encouraging and supportive of undergrad education. I really enjoy working in FAS and at Carleton, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And I would just note that tomorrow is our open house. I'm sure you're all aware of that, but we're looking forward to meeting directly with students and their parents and answering any questions they have, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have now.
Thank you very much, Anne. Appreciate that. And before we bring in our guest from financial aid, we'll give people a chance, if they wish, to put up their hand or put a question into the chat for you. And you beat me to the punch. I was going to promote the open house. It's all about the arts and social sciences this week in a huge way. So we have the open house tomorrow. Obviously, you're here now. And today at 4 o'clock, the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences Spotlights will be happening as well, and we'll be focusing on English, history, and the humanities program. So this might be a good segue to a link that Anne had shared with me. It's a piece from the Ottawa Citizen on the College of Humanities. So we'll put that in the chat for you to check out as well. And yeah, so last but not least, I think in defense of the students end, 45 does feel old sometimes. And even when you're a little bit older than that, it certainly does feel old, but it isn't. We get that. So we'll monitor the chat. If any questions come through, we'll let you know. And we'll take this opportunity to pass the floor over to Mr. Robinson from the Awards and Financial Aid Office.
Okay,
Mark?
thanks.
Thanks, Trevor, and thanks, Anne. So I'm the manager of the Financial Aid Office. Some people on the call may recognize me from prior years. Today, I want to talk really about financial aid. Of course, my phone's going to ring right now. And specifically OSAP and the Ontario Student Assistance Program. So I don't have a lot of time, So what I'd like to do is really introduce you to 3 tools that I think are going to be useful for you in counseling with students, and tools that work really well over in a virtual environment where you might be working with students and you're dealing with it over a platform like Teams. The first one that I want to talk to you about is showing students how to link their UAC application to their OSAP application. There are a number of good reasons to do that. The second one I want to show you is the OSAP Estimator. This is a tool that hasn't always been a real accurate or a great tool, but in the last 2 years, they've really beefed it up to make it very, very, very close to what students can expect to see on the application itself. And the assessments are very, very accurate. And then the third thing I want to show you is a tool it's a repayment calculator. So it allows students to get an idea of what repayment is going to look like after school. Okay. I also want to just briefly touch on what's known and what's not known about OSAP for next year. And I want to just give you some options for how you can reach out to us, or your students can reach out to us for assistance as well. So without further ado, I would like to share my screen. I'm going to try to do that right now. And then we'll blast through. So the window I need, I guess I'll just share my whole desktop then. And is everyone able to see my desktop now?
We are.
Okay,
yep.
Excellent. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the OSAP website. So the easy way to remember that is ontario.ca/OSAP. And you'll get to this landing page here. Now, I'm not going to actually have you register at this point. Actually, sorry, we will go in here. I do want to show you the system for setting up a student profile. So the first thing you're going to want to show your students to do is on this profile, or on this page, you're going to click on register, or they're going to click on register. And the nice thing is they can get an idea of all the stuff that they're agreeing to when they apply for a student loan. And they can do that now and have all sorts of time to read all these very important sections that often will get skipped over, as I'm doing now, and just clicked to say that I've read it when I really haven't. So lots of time for them to look into that. The next page is the important part. This is where you can, students can link, once they have applied through either the OCAS, the UAC, or both systems. Once they've completed and submitted their applications there, they can create a profile on OSAP and then link their OSAP application to their OCAS or UAC application. So in this case, I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to select the universities section, and then it will set up a link to UAC. And hopefully they won't get this browser message, but I did test this yesterday and it works. They put in their UAC username here, and then they put in their UAC password, and when they log in, it will actually pull some information from the UAC system to populate their profile for OSAP. More importantly, when they do launch the OSAP application in the spring, it will pre-populate applications for them, OSAP applications for them, based on program selection that they made in either the UAC, the OCAS, or both systems. Okay, so and the other nice thing is they'll get email prompts when that happens, asking them to complete the applications. Really good if we want to get students to apply early, as early in the cycle as possible, which is something that we definitely want to stress to them. So the second thing I wanted to show you is the OSAP aid estimator. And so we can just go back to the main OSAP homepage. And you're just going to scroll down here, and then this OSAP aid estimator here is what you're going to click on next. Now I've got one opened up here. I'm just going to show you, it takes a little bit of time to go through, so I'm going to kind of do it like a cooking show, show you how to get started, and then I'll show you one I prepared earlier. Okay, so we're just going to say, when do the classes start? Now you'll see we want to say September 2021, but we're going to get a message that says the application hasn't opened yet, and we're not doing estimates yet. What I'm going to suggest is you're going to go ahead and use this year's estimator based on this year's assessment rules, and it should get us close enough. Then you're going to click next. It asks you to pick the school. Of course, we're going to pick Carleton University, and then it takes you through a series of questions that are very, very close to the suite of questions that they're going to get asked on the OSAP application. This is what makes the estimator much better now than it used to be. The estimates are based on very, very accurate information, or more complete information than they were in the past. So here is one that I prepared earlier. So I've gone through the system. This is a student that is in the physics program at Carleton, first year student. And you can see it breaks it down, $7,000. This is a student that's living at home. So $7,000 in grants based on this year's assessment, $1,900 in loan, total of $8,900. Breaks it down here on how their need is being calculated. And then at the bottom here, it will show you the parameters that I used in selecting it. So it was a bachelor's of physics and family income of $50,000, a family size of 4 with 2 working parents. And there you go. The next thing is I want to show you the same assessment, but run for the same student, but as if the student was living away from home. Okay, so you can get different, estimates. So based on different answers to the question, so you can get an idea of some of the choices and what kind of an impact they'll have. So in this case, student is getting more in grant, but they're also collecting a lot more in loan. Now, students can still have the option to choose just grant only, but should they choose to go with loan, you can see here that the student is getting an amount more in loan versus living at home. Okay, so it gives you a nice picture of what to expect. The third tool that I want to show you is this addition that they've made to the estimator, which will take you right to the repayment calculator. Now, if I click this, and here I am on the away from home living allowance. If I click this here, go to the repayment calculator, it nicely carries this number over for me. Now, why I like this tool so much, and why I think it's a good tool for students and their parents to play around with, is, yeah, I mean, we assume as long as things are staying the same year to year, that the loan debt would be roughly the same every year. So if we take 6,000, we multiply that by the 4 years it would take to complete the program normally, we get 24,000, and then we can actually get a pretty good idea. I'm going to say 60 months for repayment. 5 years I think is a good repayment period, but students can go further than 114. The average is 114 months, but you pay a lot less interest if you pay it sooner. And this interest rate is nice because it's the federal interest rate and the provincial interest rates are different, but the system takes that into account here and blends the two together based on the general distribution between federal and provincial loans. This blended interest rate is actually pretty accurate, and it's updated as things go on, or as the interest rate changes. So then we go here, we can calculate the monthly payment, right? And it will actually even tell them what they can expect in the way of a student loan interest tax credit at the end of every year, which is a nice little benefit. All through this system, you'll see these little blue links. They're really, really good explainers. So that was through the estimator and through the repayment calculator. It will define, you know, if we look at the interest rate, it explains exactly what I said, how they calculate the blending rate. So those are 3 tools, and I know I kind of took or those are 2 tools, and I took a real, no, those are 3 tools. I took a real rush through to get those through to you. What I do want to say about that is I really believe these are good tools for you to use with students in consultation, either in person, but especially online through a system like this. And if you would like to, you know, like a little guidance on how these tools can be really, really useful in an advising context, I'd be happy to set up a and take them through in a more, you know, a more complete tutorial on how these tools can be useful. I also want to quickly promote our website here at carleton.ca/awards. Students that are Carleton bound, or even students that aren't, can get a lot of information from our website here, particularly the OSAP section. where we'll have links to things like this is a video for the National Student Loan Service Center that explains a little bit more about repayment. And we take it through the Osap application process within the context of our school. But it's good information all around. And as you follow through, we'll link to important sites on the Osap website, pages on the website, as well as on our, if we go back to our homepage, as you know, announcements are made, we're going to be launching that stuff or posting that stuff on news items on our homepage. Okay. The final thing that I want to show you is on our Contact Us page. You can advise your students that they can contact us directly through this page, and they can indicate that they're a prospective student, and we will stream those emails directly to someone who's specialized to help with. I want to give you guys a little bit of a cheat, so that if you do want to reach out to us to set up some additional training or some just have a conversation with me or with one of my colleagues, guidance counselors, we're going to have, if you use the Contact Us page, and you can put for your full name, email, for your student number, if you could just put guidance, maybe followed by the school that you're at, or just guidance, we'll use that to stream the emails through to someone who can liaise with the guidance offices as well. So I think that's about all the time that I have. There's so much more that I would like to cover, but that is about all that I have time for right at the moment.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mark. And I wonder if it's
And
possible.
So stop there.
Yeah, I wonder if it's possible to grab that URL and pop it into the chat for the contact. Are you able to do that? If not, we can circle back and do that as well.
I'm sorry, Trevor, I've just missed that. You muted for me for a second.
It's all good. So the contact page that you had for putting in guidance and school name and whatnot, that URL, are you able to pop that into the chat on here?
Sure. Yeah, I can put that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then people can just sort of bookmark it from there. That was a good session. And I think Mark and I have spent many evenings over the years standing in your gyms talking about these kind of things. And we've there's a lot to know about awards and financial aid. It could take an hour in of itself, but in talking about this, we thought it'd be a really good idea to just sort of cut to the chase on the OSAP conversation specifically, because we do spend a lot of time talking about our great, entrance scholarships and prestige awards and bursaries and all those things, but they're all in our view book and they're accessible and our websites. But the OSAP conversation is a sticky one, and it's a different year. So I think it's really thankful, Mark, that you could share time, and certainly the link in terms of getting signing up to get more information. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So.
And I apologize for having, for kind of barreling through that. There's a lot of stuff that I did want to cover and wanted to get in there. So it's really just the purpose was really to get the word out on those tools and kind of pique your interest on how you might be able to use those in an advising context with students. Okay.
I really like the cooking with Mark analogy. That was pretty cool, but I'm not sure about the link between finances and cooking. Those two words never seem to go together very well. So I don't know if we'll follow that any further, but that was fun.
Okay, yeah.
Don't be cooking any books over there. So next, so we're going to introduce our Director of Admissions, Jen Sugar. Welcome back, Jen, and talk about some select admission topics and answer some questions for you.
Great. Thanks, Trevor. I really appreciate that. So hi, everybody, and I can see some familiar names in the list of participants here. So hello again for those of you who have been here over the weeks. So what I want to do is I want to do what I've done in previous weeks is I want to go through and I want to talk about just some main topics to cover some of the questions that we're getting from guidance counselors and students to see if I can answer some of the most commonly asked things that are out there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about the structure of the year. And I just want to share a term that I learned yesterday. There are people in our sector calling referring to the octomester and the quadmester as the mester system. So asking people what mester they are in. So I think this is like a whole new area of English language for me. But I wanted to talk about the mesters and how that's going to impact our offers of admission. And so basically, for those of you who have been doing this a long time, you know that typically if a student were to apply in November or December, the first round of grades that we would get for them would only be grade 11 grades. And if we were going to do very, very early offers, it would be based only on grade 11 grades. For this year is that for the students who are in the octomester or who are in the quadmester, that by the time that November grade distribution happens for us, students are going to have 2 completed grade 12 grades. And so what that means is that when we make those first round of offers of admission, whether we do that in December, at whatever point in December we do that, or possibly early January, what that means is that we're going to be using those completed grade 12 grades, and then we're going to be backfilling with their grade 11 grades and gathering 6 courses in order to calculate their average. And so what's going to happen is we're going to keep doing that throughout the cycle. And so the grade distributions that we're going to get, there's going to be a grade distribution in November, there'll be another one in February, there'll be one in April, and then there'll be another one in July. And what's going to happen is at every point, we're going to get new grade 12 grades for students, whether they're in the octomester or whether they're in the quadmester. We're going to get new grades for them, and we're going to incorporate those into the average. And then we're going to reach back to grade 11, and we're going to backfill with any grade 11 courses that we need in order to make 6 courses in order for us to calculate the average. The same is going to be true for prerequisite courses. And so in cases where students are taking a needed prerequisite later in the year, we're going to be reaching back to grade 11 in order to look at that grade 11 grade so that we can get a snapshot of what those courses might look like. So that will be the case for science, for engineering, where we might not have a chemistry grade, let's say, and we'll be reaching back to grade 11 to grab that grade 11 chemistry grade. But basically, we're going to be doing what we have always done, which is rolling offers of admission, where every time we receive grades, we calculate the average, and we see if the student's average is at the level that we're using at that moment. And then as soon as we can make an offer of admission, we do. So that is kind of, that is sort of the way we're going to go for this year. Really, the only thing that has changed is in past years, when we received grades in April in the past, we would have then had all grade 12 grades, and we would have transitioned to using only grade 12 grades as of that April date. But because of the way the octomester and the quadmester system are going to work, basically what this means is that we'll be using a combination of grade 11 grades and grade 12 grades pretty much throughout the entire cycle. And so that's really the only big change for students. So that's just something to know. In terms of averages, for those of you who have our general view book, if you look at the back, you'll see for pages 72 through to 74 is the chart that shows all of our programs, and it shows all of the averages that students need. So you can see that there are 2 columns there. There is a minimum average range in order for students to apply. And then what we've done to try to give a little bit of context and a little bit more information is we've provided the average incoming average for each individual program for students coming in 2019. And so that gives students and parents and guidance counselors an idea of sort of the strength of the students who are coming into that program. And so we had heard from students that that was a piece of information that they wanted, and so we tried to include that in the view book this year. But in terms of students knowing, do I have the average that I need in order to apply for this program or for a particular program, they should look at that minimum averages column, and that's really what they should be paying attention to. Students often ask us, okay, yeah, I see that there's a range here and it says, 78 to 82, but what's the real average? And the answer that we give students is, shoot for the top end. Whenever there's a range, shoot for the top end, because that will give you a little bit of a buffer and it will make you a little bit more comfortable in terms of making sure that you're eligible for the program that you're interested in. The other thing to remind students in regard to averages is that we calculate an average, an overall average, and we also calculate a prerequisite average. So the prerequisite average is calculated using just the prerequisite courses, and we want those averages to fall in the same range as the overall averages that are listed in the view book. Other than that, what we're trying to do more than anything is we're trying to keep things as consistent as possible. And so you'll see with the UAC schedule of dates, the application deadline in January, the grade distribution dates, the response date of June 1st, all of those things, we're trying to keep things as consistent and as stable as possible to make it as easy as possible for you folks, so that you don't have to remember a whole bunch of new dates and we don't have to shift the admissions cycle sort of all over the place. So we really are trying our best to keep things as consistent as we can. And you'll see, for example, that we're also being as hopeful as we can. So when we send our offers of admission this year, you'll see that they come with, you know, our usual scholarships, of course, but they're also coming with our normal guaranteed residence offer, because of course it's our hope that by the time fall 2021 rolls around, that we might be able to see each other in real life and maybe get off teams for a little while. So that's what we're hoping for. Of course, we don't know what the future holds, and we'll adjust and we'll change and we'll adapt as we need to, but we're hoping that we will be able to see our students in real life as soon as we can. There are a lot of students, of course, who are nervous about this year. They're wondering, you know, what will happen if they don't do well, and so on and so forth. And I have to say that those concerns, although we're hearing them a little bit more often, those are concerns that we hear every year. Students are always concerned, you know, what happens if my average isn't high enough? What happens if I don't do well, et cetera? And so really at this early stage, what we're saying to students is do your best. Reach out to your teachers and your guidance counselors in your schools, use the resources that are available to you, and try your best, and try to get your average as high as you possibly can. And that's really the advice that we're giving to students. And so, you know, just passing that on to you so that that you can just kind of say to students, you know, take a deep breath at this point, and, you know, let's get into it and let's do the best that you can, and then see where things come out at the end of the year. So that gives you just a little bit of an overview of where we're at in terms of our thinking. But I think what I'll do is I'll stop there and see if there are any questions from the group, any specific issues that you've run into, or questions that you want to ask.
All right, thank you very much, Jen. Great update once again. And are you suggesting that there might be a day in the future when we're not on Teams all day?
I can guarantee there will be a day in the future where we will not be online. I just don't know what that day is.
You heard it here first. Amazing. Very happy to hear that. Made my Friday. So yeah, so any questions, anything popping up, you want to put your hand up and ask Jen, or perhaps you want to throw something into the chat to ask, this is your time to do that. So. Okay, I'll take a couple of questions, see if anybody's interested in doing that. If not, there is always people.
The one thing that I'll just say, just because I think Cheryl Yaton is still here, and if you are still here, Cheryl, if you stick around at the end of the call, you and I can talk about your email question, but that's just a separate thing. Anyone else who has a question, just shout it out or put it in the chat.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, this is obviously not the last opportunity to ask questions, and we're going to be here next Friday again. There's Cheryl saying great, and I get it. Like, you don't want to ask your question to the world, or maybe it's you know, something to do with a student that's a little bit more private that you want to discuss. But this is a you know, it's an interesting time. There's a lot happening right now. I know my daughter, for instance, applied to the health sciences degree this week at Carleton. So in our home, we're going through this in real time. A lot of questions, and that's why we're seeing us rolling out so many things. And I've been sending some emails to local counselors, say like, tonight is a spotlight, and Wednesday is a live at 5, and there's coffee breaks, and there's a virtual open house tomorrow again for arts, public affairs, and science. And we're just going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling. We just also wanted to to highlight that we've been talking about doing a couple parent nights in the future. So we're still working on some dates and whatnot, but right now we're sort of tentatively thinking December 8th and 10th as potential dates to do that. And we'll circle back with some details. Probably like a 5:30 timeframe, not so much night, but late afternoon. Late afternoon is the new night now. So and the 4 to 6 timeframe we found has been really good for in terms of capturing people's attention before they, get off of the teams for the day, and of course they're in school in the day and whatnot as well. So look for communications about that as well. So okay, so looks like we got about another 10-15 minutes, but if we don't have any questions, once again, everyone knows how to find me and Carly as well as Jen. And just wanted to wish you a great Friday. Hopefully we'll see you, and or I know I heard a couple counselors said they were going to be at the virtual open house tomorrow, and they said we'll see you there. I don't know how much I'll see you there, but hopefully we'll get a chance to interact again. So,
Trevor, just before we go, could I just add something? You
can.
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know that I did share some links in the chat, as well as a screenshot showing, if you do want to discuss things a little further on the side, how to complete our contact us form. I mean, directly, and my email address is there, but if you use the contact us form, we're experimenting with a system where that'll route directly to someone that can get in touch with you. So that's there. And then I did want to just mention that we have had a couple of requests for virtual high school presentations on OSAP, and that is something that we're open to. So we're putting together a presentation similar to a much more expanded, but similar to what I went through today at a much slower pace. So if that's something that interests guidance counselors out there, they should contact us, and we're happy to make that happen.
Very good. And it was, I'll be honest with you, Mark, it was something that popped into my mind as you were closing up your presentation, but I didn't kind of want to put you on the spot about it. I didn't know if that was something that you were going to do, because I know you obviously did it in person before we started the pandemic business, but that's good to hear that you're working on something. So we'll look for that.
Okay.
And I'm also super happy that you were able to focus on the OSAP. Like we've often said, it's an enigma. It's wrapped in a rhyme, surrounded by a riddle most years, and given that it's the pandemic and there's all kinds of the mesters as Jen had mentioned, it's really good to get more and more clarity on that process. So thank you very much again, and thank you to Dan Bowker for joining us, and thank you to Jen Sugar as well, and mostly thank you to all the counselors for joining us again on Friday. Have a lovely weekend, and hopefully we'll see you next week when we look at portfolio programs and the Faculty of Engineering and Design. Cheers. Have a good weekend. Bye now.
Okay, so I think we're pretty much coming to the end here. So Cheryl, in terms of your student, let me just find your email. I think the only question I had for you is whether or not they were applying for winter or applying for fall.
So actually, as it turns out, I think I'm going to have 2 students in this situation.
Okay.
And they are applying just for September 2021 because they are still with us until the end of term 2, so they'll only finish at the end of January.
Right. Okay. So that was, I just wanted to make sure that the timing was on that, because I was going to say if they're only finishing at the end of January, they won't be in time for us. But okay. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really different to be done, because if you put them in as 101s, we're going to see that that they're done. We're going to see that all grades are final, basically, and we'll run them through the system as we normally do. So yeah, there's nothing specific to be done. This is similar to in past years, the students who would have come back for first term.
Right.
Who would have, sort of been done in February or whatever. So we're used to dealing with that kind of group. So that's, yeah, I think that's totally fine.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. should be fine. If they, if for whatever reason, like, so that they should follow the same path as always, right? Like they should get the acknowledgement from us, and then, and they should get a decision, sometime in the spring. If they feel like they're not hearing from us, or like their application just went into a black hole, of course, they need to just reach out and be like, hi, is there something that I should have done differently? But but everything should follow the same normal process.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Jen.
Awesome.
Have a great day.
Great. Take care.
You too.